In the thick of confirmation season, after yesterday's triumph from Pete Hegseth, it is Pam Bondi's turn. And as we speak, she is dazzling the Democrats and really kind of destroying them. We're going to show you the highlights that have already happened just over the course of the last hour. Plus, a fascinating and brilliant exchange with one of the smartest legal minds in the Senate, Senator John Kennedy. We're used to him destroying Democrat know-nothings who go up there and don't even know the first thing about the Constitution. But when you see him, he and Pam Bondi go at it, it's really something to behold, and we want to share that with you. And also, one great thing that came out of yesterday's Pete Hegseth appearance are the memes. Oh, the memes. We have a mountain of memes that we're going to enjoy because the Democrats looked awful yesterday, and it's not getting any better today. And we're enjoying every bit of it. It's a brand new era with Inauguration Day just 6 days away. We're brought to you by Birch Gold today. My name is Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry. Thank you so much for watching the live stream today. It's a really busy day, and I know you've got a lot of choices out there. Some of you are watching the live stream of the hearings themselves. There's like 5 of them to choose from. Thank you for coming here for the highlights of Pam Bondi, your next Attorney General, as well as yesterday's recap from Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Give us a like if you could. When you give us the early likes, that really helps grow our message and gets it out there as much as possible, and we really appreciate it. You know what else we appreciate? We appreciate the folks at Birch Gold, because increased tariffs on our trade partners is a very real thing. Trump just announced this external revenue service idea yesterday. The tariffs are coming, plus tax cuts. Johnson's going to try to champion solidifying the tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts, which are supposed to sunset at the end of this year. And you know that this new administration is going to try to change and cut regulation. All of this is why gold is a viable diversification tactic right now more than ever. Birch Gold, it's the only company, gold company I endorse. They're releasing the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr. Get your free copy of this incredible book, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold. Just text my name, Larry, to 989898. Larry. Text that to 989898. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to increase. Gold is still your hedge against a weakened dollar. And Birch Gold, still the company I recommend to help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. And you're just converting your existing accounts, so there's no money out of your pocket. It's a brilliant, brilliant thing. Get more information by texting Larry to 989898. Get your free copy of the Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era with a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation, just information. Text Larry to 989898. Do that today. Earlier today on Capitol Hill in the Senate Judiciary Committee, Attorney General designate Pam Bondi was on the hot seat. But I'll be honest with you, it wasn't really a hot seat. She took every single challenge from the Democrats, and she destroyed them. She's so good. She's going to be an incredible attorney general. And I want you to see her going head to head with Dick Durbin here, who only wanted to talk about the election of 2020 in January 6th. And I mean, the people have already spoken, Dick. The election happened. They know what happened on election day or on January 6th. They know what happened after the 2020 election. And they just sent you a message, but they still don't get it. So here's how Bondi handled it.
Do you have any doubts that Joe Biden had the majority of votes, electoral votes, necessary to be elected president in 2020?
You know, Senator, all I can tell you as a prosecutor is from my firsthand experience. And I accept the results. I accept, of course, that Joe Biden is president of the United States. But what I can tell you is what I saw firsthand when I went to Pennsylvania as an advocate for the campaign. I was an advocate for the campaign, and I was on the ground in Pennsylvania, and I saw many things there. But do I accept the results? Of course I do. Do I agree with what happened? And I saw so much. You know, no one from either side of the aisle should want there to be any issues with election integrity in our country. We should all want our elections to be free and fair, and the rules and the laws to be followed.
It's a great answer. And of course, it doesn't give Dick Durbin the sort of She didn't take the bait that Dick Durbin was trying to throw out there, right? Because there's this myth out there that if you dare to say that Joe Biden won the 2020 election, that suddenly you're sort of in Donald Trump's doghouse. And that's the sort of fiction that they're trying to build here, and they're trying to put her in the doghouse with Donald Trump. So the question is, do you think Joe Biden won the majority of the Electoral College? And she gave a great answer, which is, listen, we accept the results. What happened, happened. Obviously, Joe Biden is president of the United States, at least for 6 more lamentable days. But you can't ignore the atrocities that we saw in various places. Pam Bondi was one of those people who was on the ground in Pennsylvania as part of Trump's legal team after the election, and she knows that there were major problems there. That's what was going to be debated on January 6th that afternoon until all the destruction took place and the crowd, the protest got overwhelmed and went into the Capitol, and the rest is history. But Dick Durbin continues to press the matter.
Question deserve a yes or no. And I think the length of your answer is an indication that you weren't prepared to answer yes. Have you heard the recording of President Trump on January 2nd, 2021, when he urged the Secretary of State of Georgia to, quote, find 11,780 votes and declare him the winner of that state?
No, I've heard about it through clips, but no, Senator, I've not heard it.
What was your reaction to President Trump making that call?
I would have to listen to the tape, Senator.
Well, the quote that I give you is exact. He said to the Georgia Secretary of State, find 11,780 votes.
Do you have the entire context of that call? I feel like it was much longer than that and may have been taken out of context.
It was an hour long.
Right.
You can certainly listen to it. I hope you will. Every American should. As a former prosecutor, are you not concerned that the President of the United States called a state election official and asked him to find enough votes to change the results of the election?
Senator, I have not listened to the hour-long conversation, but it's my understanding that is not what he asked him to do.
You need to listen to it.
You need to listen to. Well, it's a great and instinctive answer by Pam Bondi that he was quoted out of context and actually drew just that one little phrase out of the entire thing. The whole deal has been litigated already down in Fulton County. We know how that prosecution shaped up there for Fenney down there in Fulton County against Donald Trump over whatever actions he had in Georgia. It's complete and total nothing. But Pam Bondi handled it perfectly, handled it professionally, didn't rise to the occasion, didn't take the bait, and she's going to get confirmed beautifully, pushing back on all of these Democrats challenging her. By the way, I'm not sure if this is true. I have a brother who lives in Illinois. He can verify this, but I believe when Senator Durbin was first running for that seat in Illinois, his campaign slogan was Dick Durbin before he dicks you. I could be wrong about that. Again, fact check it. I'm not sure, but it would make sense. Moving on to Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. This guy, by the way, continues to be a member of an all-white beach club in his state. Boy, it's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? His name is literally Whitehouse, Sheldon Whitehouse, and he belongs to a racist, exclusive, whites-only club today in January 2025. But no, now he's sitting in the seat of judgment over the nominees for Trump's cabinet. Take it away, Sheldon Whiteman.
You have said that Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted in the Trump administration. What Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted and why?
I said that on TV. I said prosecutors will be prosecuted, to finish the quote, if bad. Investigators will be investigated. You know, we all take an oath, Senator, to uphold the law. None of us are above the law. Let me give you a really good example of a bad lawyer within the Justice Department, a guy named Klein Smith, who altered a FISA warrant, one of the most important things we can do in this country. So will everyone be held to an equal, fair system of justice if I am the next Attorney General? Absolutely. And no one is above the law.
Under what circumstances will you prosecute journalists?
Yeah, let me pause there. I do love that White House has no rejoinder or no response to that. See, he's engaging in this where he wants to like throw out all of these challenges and all these debates. And then when Pam Bondi actually smacks it down and destroys it, he just wants to move on to the next outrageous charge. But good for her. You know, how dare you suggest that prosecutors will be prosecuted? Well, bad prosecutors who are committing felonies, prosecutors who are violating the civil rights of American citizens should be held accountable and should be investigated and should be prosecuted. In fact, Sheldon, why don't you want that? Why don't you want prosecutors to be prosecuted if they're violating the civil rights of American citizens? I hope the voters of Rhode Island ask him that question. Thank you, Pam Bondi, for pointing out Mr. Kleinsmith. Mr. Kleinsmith, for those of you who forget, falsified and lied on a FISA warrant. A FISA warrant is a warrant allowing the FBI and the Justice Department to spy on an American citizen. It was only allowed to occur within the confines of a secret court that was set up specifically for national security purposes. After 9/11, they set up the FISA courts under the Patriot Act to allow the FBI and the federal government to spy on individual American citizens in this country to prevent them from plotting another terror attack. And that law and that court was abused by James Comey and the FBI and the Justice Department under Barack Obama to spy on a member of the Trump campaign, a volunteer, by the way, an advisor named Carter Page, who was a Naval Academy graduate and a member of the United States Navy until he retired without any blemish on his record. He's never violated any law, but they claimed he was a Russian spy and was working to collude with Putin to win the election. Of course, there was never any evidence found, but this guy Kleinsmith lied to the FISA court to get that warrant against Carter Page. And do you know what his punishment was? Nothing. This is what his punishment was. Mr. Kleinsmith was fired from the Justice Department, or he left his job in the Justice Department after the Inspector General found what he had done. Mr. Durham tried to prosecute him. He couldn't find a jury in D.C. because it overwhelmingly votes against Donald Trump. He's now working for a K Street law firm and making hundreds of thousands of dollars in Washington, D.C. Why shouldn't someone like that be prosecuted, Mr. White House? Maybe you're the problem, Mr. White House. So then he just moves on from that point and gets right to journalists. Oh, are you going to prosecute journalists?
Is above the law.
Under what circumstances will you prosecute journalists for what they write?
I believe in the freedom of speech. Only if anyone commits a crime. It's pretty basic, Senator, with anything, with any victim. And this goes back to my entire career for 18 years as a prosecutor and then 8 years as Florida's Attorney General. You find the facts of the case. You apply the law in good faith, and you treat everyone fairly.
And
wait, before we forget the journalist thing, I'm just curious, when Sheldon Whitehouse was a senator and Barack Obama and Eric Holder's Justice Department spied on and investigated journalists like Cheryl Atkinson and James Rosen for writing critical things about the Obama administration and Benghazi and other scandals, and that was Sheldon Whitehouse concerned about the use of the Justice Department to go after journalists then? Were they? By the way, was there any concern about going after fellow streamer and opinion journalist Steve Bannon because he refused to testify to the January 6th Kangaroo Court Committee? Mr. Whitehouse, are not all journalists treated equally here? Some journalists, it's okay to investigate and prosecute and throw in jail, but some journalists aren't. I just want to know where you stand here on freedom of the press. Clearly, he's okay with some journalists being investigated, the ones that he doesn't like, the ones who don't march in lockstep with the journalists in Washington, D.C., who do his and his party's bidding. But back to White House here. Again, I want to remind you, a member of a whites-only racist beach club in his state of Rhode Island.
It would not be appropriate for a prosecutor to start with a name and look for a crime it's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name, correct?
Senator, I think that is the whole problem with the weaponization that we have seen the last 4 years and what's been happening to Donald Trump. They targeted Donald Trump. They went after him, actually starting back in 2016. They targeted his campaign. They have launched countless investigations against him. That will not be the case if I am Attorney General. I will not politicize that office. I will not target people simply because of their political affiliation. Justice will be administered even-handedly throughout this country. Senator, we've got to bring this country back together. We've got to move forward or we're going to lose our country.
Imagine being a senator over the course of the last 10 years, seeing what Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Holder and Merrick Garland and Joe Biden have done with Russian collusion hoax and the Robert Mueller investigation, and then going after Donald Trump over, the Mar-a-Lago raid and the E. Jean Carroll thing and the hush money to a porn star thing and all of that, seeing all of that, and then having the audacity to sit in this room with Donald Trump after winning overwhelmingly the presidential election in November, interviewing his nominee for the Justice Department and having the audacity to say, don't you think that we shouldn't be going after people and investigating them with the hopes of finding a crime? And instead, we should recognize a crime and then see who's this. Are you kidding me? Have you not been awake for the last 10 years? Have you been in a coma? How does he even have the balls to sit there and make that kind of insinuation, knowing exactly what he and his president and his party and Merrick Garland have done? It's audacious. But listen, when you're a Democrat, you don't have to have any shame because no one's going to call you out except on platforms like this. He wasn't done. There was more.
Yes.
Would you have hired someone into the Florida Attorney General's office who you knew had an enemies list?
Senator, to cut to the chase, you're clearly talking about Kash Patel. I don't believe he has an enemies list. He made a quote on TV, which I have not heard. I saw your sign or Senator Durbin's sign about Kash, but I know that Kash Patel has had 60 jury trials as a public defender, as a prosecutor. He has great experience in the Intel Department, Department of Defense. I have known Kash, and I believe that Kash is the right person at this time for this job. You'll have the ability to question Mr. Patel.
And I'm questioning you right now
do.
about whether you will enforce an enemies list that he announced publicly on television.
Oh, Senator, I'm sorry. There will never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice.
Well, within her Department of Justice. But does anyone here doubt that there's been an enemies list in the Department of Justice under the Obama regime and under the Biden regime? And sadly, I think during some of the years of the Trump regime as well. Honestly, the absolute audacity, hypocrisy of these Democrats sitting up there. But Pam Bondi nailed it every single time. Here's Dick Blumenthal. Dick Blumenthal, man, boy, especially coming after Hegseth's confirmation process yesterday. This guy, the senator from Connecticut, actively lied about his service and whether he served in Vietnam. He was exposed as the liar that he is. And the people of Connecticut still voted for him. It's pretty amazing. And now here he is sitting in judgment over Pam Bondi. It's a remarkable thing, but he doesn't last long and it doesn't go very well for him. Take it away.
Can you say no to the President of the United States when he asks you to do something unethical or illegal?
Senator, first, I need to clarify something that you said, that I have to sit up here and say these things. No, I don't. I sit up here and speak the truth. I'm not going to sit up here and say anything that I need to say to get confirmed by this body. I don't have to say anything. I will answer the questions to the best of my ability and honestly.
Let me ask.
Thank you. And again, this all goes into the same narrative that these are all Trump's puppets. They're all his sycophants. They're up there just saying what they have to say so they can get back, which, by the way, I mean, the suggestion that a nominee will say what they have to say just to get confirmed, and could we roll back the tape and see Pete Buttigieg's confirmation process, or maybe Lloyd Austin's confirmation process, or maybe Merrick Garland's confirmation process? Do we think maybe they just said what the senators wanted them to hear so that they could get confirmed? But Pam Bondi, I think, pushed back perfectly on it. I'm not saying I'm saying what I believe. It's not what I have to say. I know you're used to that with your sycophantic nominees for Biden, but that ain't me. Then it was time for Senator Coons of Delaware, and Pam Bondi. Again, didn't end well for the good senator of Delaware.
One of the concerns I've raised with you is safeguarding the Department of Justice's independence in the face of some promises on the campaign trail by then candidate Trump that he would use the department to target his political adversaries, or that he might interfere with prosecution.
Can I just pause it? At no point did Donald Trump say he would use the Justice Department to target his political adversaries. What he said was that the Justice Department has been used as a political weapon against him, against his allies, and by the way, against the American people, against us as individuals. You know, there's an old joke that people in Washington, D.C. always laugh about. They think it's funny when they say, you know, a U.S. attorney can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. Yeah, that's right. Why is that funny? Why should we be okay with that? Why should members of the Senate or journalists who cover the Senate and Congress or the government, why should they be happy and joyful and laugh about the idea that a U.S. attorney can indict a ham sandwich? Because I'm pretty sure the ham sandwich didn't break the law. I'm pretty sure the ham sandwich is innocent. I'm pretty sure that if a U.S. attorney has the kind of power and influence and the deck is stacked in such a way that that U.S. attorney can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich, then there's something wrong with our system. There's something wrong with our laws. And there's something wrong with that U.S. attorney, because that U.S. attorney knows full well that ham sandwich did nothing wrong. And so now we've got these people up there just shocked and disgusted and clutching their pearls because Trump has said openly, there's something wrong here. And if you elect me, I'm going to fix it. And Mr. Coons seems to forget that message won. The American people want change in the Justice Department. They want reform. And they want the people who indicted that ham sandwich to be arrested, because they shouldn't indict the ham sandwich. And so now they're upset. They can't believe this, no, he didn't say he'd go after his enemies. He said he would go after the criminals who have used the Justice Department unjustly against innocent Americans. And boy, they're dying to keep that from happening, aren't they? All right, so we'll go ahead and let the question and answer continue. But I just wanted to point that out and so recognize that the Democrats seem just fine with the status quo in the Justice Department right now, even though the American people just clearly voted for reforms.
What would you do if your career DOJ prosecutors came to you with a case to prosecute, grounded in the facts and law, but the White House directs you to drop the case?
Senator, if I thought that would happen, I would not be sitting here today. That will not happen, will not happen. Every case will be prosecuted based on the facts and the law that is applied in good faith. Period. Politics have got to be taken out of the system.
I
This
agree with
department
you.
has been weaponized for years and years and years,
But let
and
me,
it has
if
to
I might,
stop.
thank you. Let me, if I might, Madam Attorney General, refer you back to Senator Durbin's opening comments about previous attorneys general, our former colleague, Jeff Sessions.
All right. That's it. I don't know where they went with that, but we got the clip that we needed there in terms of Coons. And then thank you. It was nice to get him on the record to say, yes, I agree. We got to get politics out of the Justice Department. Thank you. Where have you been? One other point, our favorite senator yesterday, Mazie Hirono, who beautifully, make sure you check the clip from yesterday's show, had like a 17 cocktail breakfast before she decided to ask Pete Hegseth about drinking on the job. You know, that's prohibited. And here she is now. I forgot the Democrats in their wisdom put this brilliant mind from Hawaii on the Judiciary Committee as well. So here she is challenging Pam Bondi today.
Senator Hirono, I wish you had met with me. Had you met with me, we could have discussed many things and gotten to know.
I am
You could
listening
have
to
gotten
you
know
now.
me.
Could you respond to the question?
Yeah, you were the only one who refused to meet with me, Senator. But what we would have discussed is that it is the job of the Attorney General to
I'm very
follow
happy to
the
listen to
law.
your responses under.
Good for her. Good for her. And we don't have to go any further into the actual detail of the question and answer. I just like that Pam Bondi actually laid that out there and said, I wish you'd have met with me ahead of time. I've been here for the last several weeks meeting with all the senators. And strangely, you're the only one who refused to meet with me. Too bad. That's really a missed opportunity there. And it tells you exactly who Mazie Hirono is. That's for sure. Pam Bondi did a very good job, continues to do a good job today, and she's going to get confirmed with flying colors. It'll be a breeze. And by the way, as I said yesterday, I'm pretty sure Hegseth will as well. Right now, so far, Trump's cabinet nominees that have made it to confirmation, undefeated. Our favorite part of today's confirmation hearing for Pam Bondi for the Justice Department was an exchange with one of our favorite senators from Louisiana, Senator John Kennedy. Now, we've got a ton of clips here on this channel, and you can sort through them. In fact, if you sort our clips based on popularity, you'll see that a ton of them that pop up in the top 30 or 50 involve the good senator from Louisiana. Senator Kennedy is great at a turn of phrase and a clever little Louisiana way of saying things, but he's also a brilliant legal mind, and he's able to challenge nominees who are completely and totally unqualified for the bench or for other jobs within the Justice Department. And he's able to expose that they're not really there because they know the law. They're there because they push a political agenda. And we love that, John Kennedy, and we love those clips. But what about when John Kennedy matches his great legal mind with someone like Pam Bondi, who is a great attorney general and really knows the law well? Well, what you end up getting is actually a brilliant exchange about the law, about our Constitution, and about how the federal Justice Department really should work in this country. We spend a lot of time telling you what's wrong, so we wanted to spend a little time showing you what's right in this process. Take it away, Senator Kennedy.
Can we agree that legitimacy is important to America's criminal justice system?
Yes, Senator.
Can we agree that legitimacy is important to the Department of Justice, which in part administers our criminal justice system?
Yes, Senator.
And if Americans come to believe that our criminal justice system or our Department of Justice is acting illegitimately, that makes Americans less likely to accept the results of that system, does it not?
Yes, Senator.
And that makes Americans less likely to follow the substantive laws that we pass that are administered by the Department of Justice. Isn't that true?
Yes, Senator.
And if that happens, we have chaos, don't we?
Chaos.
And the social contract is breached, isn't it?
Yes.
I love this with a passion. I love this almost to the level that I love my wife. And let me explain. We have a social contract in this country. The Constitution, the founding document of our current form of government, which goes back to the late 18th century. It's not the founding document of our nation. That would be the Declaration of Independence. But the founding document of our current government that has withstood since 1789. It begins with the three words, we the people. It's so important that those are our three words, especially for those of you who are listening. And I know we've got listeners and viewers in Canada and in Europe who love to watch this show because they want to be plugged in on our unique angle on American politics. Understand why it's so important that our Constitution begins with we the people, because it sets the tone that all of these people that have power over our lives, the people who can take money out of our bank accounts in the form of taxes, who can kidnap us and incarcerate us if we violate the law, and put us in jail. They can even take our life if we have committed a capital crime. They can only have that power because we, the people, have granted that power to them, right? And all of the rights that are dictated in our Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, explain that we were born with these rights. And only in certain circumstances are we allowing this government that we are in charge of to violate those rights. You can violate our right to free speech under certain circumstances. We're going to let you do that because we have decided to do that. But we still hold on to that right of free speech. Same with search and seizure, same with self-incrimination, and on and on and on. But we still hold on to these rights. And it is a contract. It is more than that. It's a compact that we made the day we ratified that Constitution and empowered and established this government that still stands since 1789. And Mr. Kennedy here, along with Ms. Bondi, are explaining how fragile that compact is, how fragile the trust is between we the people and this government that we empower, and how that trust is waning, how the power that the government has over us, that we have allowed them to have with our permission, that is a very thin string right now, and it is pulled very taut. And it's because in our eyes, many of our eyes, that power has been abused, and that contract has been trampled on. And there needs to be a demonstration from this new administration, not just in the Justice Department, but in pretty much every department that holds sway over we the people, that they are going to make a good faith effort to reestablish that trust. And part of that is to expose what has gone on in the past under both parties, and then reforms to ensure that it doesn't happen again. The Justice Department, though, is the most important of all those agencies that has violated that trust, because they have the most power over us. They're the ones who, well, officers of this department regularly carry lethal weapons to use against American citizens. They carry great power in the form of subpoenas and the power to arrest and the power to search and the power to spy to ensure that we have not violated those laws. And as you just saw in that exchange, the trust is so important. Otherwise, well, as they said, we have anarchy, we have chaos, we have something that we don't want to breach. We don't want to go there, because ultimately there are a lot more of us. There are a lot more of we the people than there are of those who have power over us. And the only way it works is if that trust is reestablished. And my God, I love the way these two just had that exchange. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's much more that these two discussed about how important it is to have a Justice Department that we can have faith in again.
The most destabilizing act that I saw in the past 4 years, maybe in the history of the department, is when Attorney General Garland decided on the basis of dubious facts and untested legal theories to criminally prosecute a former president of the United States. And not only that, this is the special part. He decided to do it after the former president of the United States had announced that he was going to run against Attorney General Garland's boss, didn't he?
Senator, are you referring to going after a political opponent?
I think so. Now, this is one person's opinion. That kind of stupid takes a plan. And I say that because, number one, this is America. That had never happened before in America. That's the sort of thing that happens in a country whose Powerball jackpot is 287 chickens and a goat. It doesn't happen here. And I call it stupid because it broke the seal. It broke the seal. It normalized it. There are a lot of ambitious prosecutors in America, Democrat and Republican. And I'll bet you right now there's some prosecutor in a particular state thinking about, well, maybe I ought to file criminal charges against President Biden's inner circle for conspiring to conceal his mental decline. And that's the road we're headed down. And you've got to fix it, Counselor. You've got to fix it. And here's what, in my judgment, what I would ask you to do. Find out who the bad guys are and the bad women and get rid of them. Find out who the good people are and lift them up. But do it on the basis of facts and evidence and fairness. Because the temptation of some people is going to be, they're going to tell you, look, two wrongs don't make a right, but they do make it even. Don't resist that temptation. Help us restore legitimacy to the Department of Justice.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, thank you indeed, Senator. My God. And by the way, and again, only Kennedy. We mentioned yesterday with Mazie Hirono and some of the other ones that they have everything scripted out. And he's got notes in front of him, but he's got a brilliant mind. And the way he could, but I got to use a couple of these. That kind of stupid takes a plan. And that sort of thing only happens in countries where the Powerball jackpot is 260,000 chickens. Is that what it was? Oh, that's good. But he does point out something incredibly important and factual that didn't get much attention. That Merrick Garland did not name a special prosecutor, Jack Smith, to investigate the crimes of Donald Trump until after he declared himself officially a candidate for president against Joe Biden. It seems like that's noteworthy. It's fascinating, isn't it? That the moment Merrick Garland became attorney general, right up until the moment that Donald Trump announced that he was running for president against Merrick Garland's boss, no facts on the ground had changed with regard to Donald Trump's participation or not in the events of January 6th. The facts on the ground were the same the day Merrick Garland became attorney general, right up until the moment Donald Trump announced he was running for president against Merrick Garland's boss. The only thing that changed was that Donald Trump was now a candidate for president, and then Merrick Garland named Jack Smith as a special prosecutor. And yet somehow Democrats don't see that as a threat to our Constitution. They don't see that as a threat to our very country and the democratic process. Nope. The problem is Trump and Pam Bondi. One other moment here, because we love it when John Kennedy makes us laugh, and even more when he makes people like Pam Bondi laugh. This is a line of questioning that seemed to be going in a weird direction. It had to do with this guy, this Sam Brinkman dude who defrauded thousands of people on his crypto pyramid scheme, right? You remember that?
Do you remember a gentleman by the name of Sam Bankman-Fried?
Yes, Senator.
Boy genius. So smart and so powerful that he thought he could command the tides. So smart and so powerful and so rich that he would go to meetings with serious people like Bill Clinton, like Tony Blair, looking like a slob, looking like a fourth runner-up to a John Belushi lookalike contest. And he thought it was cute. Where's Mr. Bankman-Fried today?
I believe he is in prison, and I believe that's from the Netflix series I saw as well.
Because he's a crook. And who helped put him there?
The Department of Justice, Senator.
I don't know where he was going with this, other than to point out that the Department of Justice has some pretty important crimes that they have to go after, especially rich and powerful people that are connected to rich and powerful people like Bill Clinton. But just calling runner-up in a John Belushi contest brings joy to my life, and was a lighthearted moment. So we thank you, Senator John Kennedy. Thank you for keeping things as entertaining and informative as they are. Please keep doing the good work. And we rag a lot on these senators who decide that they have to continue running for office into their 90s. But let me tell you something. Don't you take John Kennedy away from me. I want him there well into his hundreds. All right. As long as he can continue doing what you just saw him do. Listen, we gave you up to the minute coverage of yesterday's Pete Hegseth confirmation hearings, which was absolutely a grand slam home run. In fact, I predicted at the end of yesterday's show, right around 1 p.m, that he was doing so well that all those people who were saying, oh, well, this confirmation process is just, for show, but he doesn't have the votes. There's like 7 or 8 Republicans who are going to call Mar-a-Lago and say, pull him because he doesn't have the votes. Let me tell you something. He's got the votes. And by the end of the day yesterday, Joni Ernst, which we were told was one of the no votes for him, she announced that she was voting for Pete Hegseth. Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, we were also told, oh, he doesn't have Lindsey Graham support. Lindsey Graham announced that he was voting for Pete Hegseth. I think every Republican, maybe not Mitch McConnell, maybe not Susan Collins, let's see. But he's got the votes. In fact, I think John Fetterman will cross the aisle and vote for Pete Hegseth when it comes down to it. The vote is scheduled for Monday, same day as the inauguration day. So we'll see how that goes. But it was a great day. Pete Hegseth did a great job. And one thing was sure, he has established himself not as the, the boardroom Secretary of Defense, who sits in a beautiful office for the last 20 years and moves troops around in combat as if they're pieces on a chessboard or an elaborate game of Risk. No, he was a warfighter. He fought those wars recently. You talk about getting boots on the ground. Senators were always saying, oh, should we vote for boots on the ground? Pete Hegseth wore those boots. And those boots had the sand and dirt and mud and blood on them very recently. And he will be a voice at the Pentagon for those war fighters. They have not had a voice at the highest levels of the Pentagon at all since Ike, probably. And now they'll have that voice. That's one thing that certainly came out of yesterday's hearings. Another thing that came out of those hearings was some fabulous memes, some incredible, beautiful, hilarious memes that we're going to plow through right now. Pete Hegseth, with that look on his face, spoke for every one of us when he was inundated by these women who decided that this was their time to take out all of their anger against their husband back home and focus it all on alpha male Pete Hegseth.
Yes, are you willing to support our veterans organizations that will help our veterans get every damn thing that they deserve because they signed on the dotted line?
Good Lord, that is art. It is absolute art, and it summarizes the entire day yesterday, except Mazie Hirono isn't part of this. That's the only problem. I want to give kudos to David Santa Carla. He's the genius who put this super edit together before the, I think this was by 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it was already sure exactly how the day was going. What were the Democrats thinking? This was all strategy, by the way. They figure out who's going to take the lead on certain topics and certain issues. And for some reason, they decided that they really wanted to have the female senators not only to be the tip of the spear against Pete Hegseth, and I guess they wanted to do that because there's some charges anonymously of his misogyny or maybe of these allegations of behaving badly to women. But although I won't even say what they were because no one put a name to them, so why should we peddle in anonymous reports as well? So they decided that women would be more effective against Pete Hegseth, but they were so shrill and so bamboo shoots under the fingernails that they ended up hurting their own cause. I don't think Democrats want this to be their image. I don't think they want the country to think that vote for us because this is who we are. In fact, Kristen Gillibrand of New York was probably the worst of all of them. And somebody sort of modified the clip a little bit in a meme to really convey how she came across.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my God, bro.
I think the "oh my God, bro" is the best part. Like I said, there may have been some manipulation of this, a tiny bit, but it's a meme, so you're allowed to do that. And that's what we were all hearing with Kristen Gillibrand. And there was one image that sort of captured the entire thing. This one right here. The timing of it is so beautiful. I'm sure that Pete Hegseth was just blinking, but I mean, that's it. And you got to love how the Bee framed it. Awarded the Silver Star for enduring roomful of hysterical women. But it's just good stuff because it's true. It's what we were all feeling and thinking as we were watching all of this. I have a female co-host from my morning radio show in Washington, D.C., Julie Gunlock. She texted me and she said, I actually went and apologized to my husband. I apologized to him because I was afraid that I came across like this for the last 20 years of our marriage. So I wanted to preemptively apologize. Good God, is this what I'm like? Julie said, Julie's not like that. Although I'm sure, I'm not her husband. Could be moments. But that is it. That right there captures everything. And by the way, if you look at this image and you think, wait a second, there's something familiar about that. I've seen this before. Well, you have. Jack Posobiec spotted it immediately. Hegseth is channeling the boss. And again, I'm sure Trump was just blinking during the debate. But Trump is all of us, as we were imagining the drunken word salad chick on the right being president of the United States. The memes just kept on coming, though. And thank God we live in the world of AI and easy video manipulation and editing so that so rapidly we could get all of the memes that we needed in our lives, like this one.
Do not deny that you've made those statements. You have. We take the responsibility of standards very seriously, and we will work with you. I'm equally distressed. You would not meet with me before this hearing. We could have covered. Do not deny that you've made those statements. You have.
No. There's more. There's plenty more. Did you come for Hegseth memes? Oh, good, because you'll be happy with this one.
Exclusion for female service members, knowing full well you have hundreds of women doing that job right now. And the standards, your 2 mile run, Tom, exclusion.
How do they do that? Seriously, how do they? And it's so perfect. The fact that Hegseth closed his eyes in such a perfect blink that allows him to be every sleeping man annoyed at the women that are coming after him. Emily Jashinsky, a friend of the program and a good gal around town. I'm sorry, I should plug her show. I forget the name of it. Hang on. It is Unheard. And the host of Undercurrents TV, DC correspondent. There you go. There's your plug. Hegseth is 10 minutes away from coming out against women serving on the Armed Services Committee, which I don't think he would have the power of enacting if he were Secretary of Defense. But it is an appropriate observation. Also, meme-worthy, not just the ladies. Let's face it, the dudes on the committee also were ripe for the mocking. This I can't unsee. Seriously, for those of you who remember the Munsters, what's going on with Jack Reed? Isn't Senator Reed the one who wanted Hegseth to define what jagoff means? And I wanted to, but was he asking that because he truly didn't know what a jagoff is? Or was he asking that because he was trying to trap Hegseth in some sort of, Kavanaugh frat boy moment? But either way, he is absolutely Lily's brother, Uncle. What was the name of that character? It wasn't Uncle Fester. That's Adam's family. Let me know in the comments. I can't remember what this character from the Munsters was. I know it was Lily Munster's brother. All right, I'll look for it. We'll get to it later. Meanwhile, he wasn't the only one who was a very creepy, scary-looking dude. How about Tim Kaine of Virginia? Yikes! What the hell has happened to Tim Kaine? Oh, you're right. It was Grandpa. It wasn't Lily's brother. It was Lily's dad, Grandpa. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. But what the hell has happened to Tim Kaine? That is amazing. How did people immediately? I mean, we knew he looked like a terrifying demonic toad, but I didn't immediately put it together with Jim Carrey's The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. But it is perfect without the CGI, without the prosthetics. Tim Kaine has become the Grinch. If you want to get a little bit more sophisticated with the AI computer graphics, here's a better look at Tim Kaine yesterday during the hearing.
Did you ever engage in any acts of physical violence against any of your wives? Senator, absolutely not. Did you ever engage in any acts of physical violence against any of your wives? Senator, absolutely.
By the way, again, I don't know who came up with the strategy of which one of the senators would take on which line of argument, but it was decided that creepy Jabba the Hutt alien Tim Kaine would be going after him about his marital status and his role as a husband, and admitting after the fact that he had cheated on his wife. And Tim Kaine was beside himself. If you could cheat on your wife, what else will you do? What other kind of immoral acts will you do? Isn't this the guy who ran as Hillary Clinton's running mate and is seen all over the internet hugging and embracing Bill Clinton? Is Tim Kaine familiar with Bill Clinton? Is he aware of Bill Clinton's past and, frankly, present activities? And Tim Kaine's the guy who's going to take the moral high ground on somebody's fidelity with his wife? Really, Tim? Really, Democrats? Sure, why not? Let's go with that. One other meme that we liked so much was this one. Senator Warren, you're now recognized. And that's all of us having to remove our earphones, or maybe just bringing the volume down the entire way. Actually, this was expanded beyond just Senator Warren to Reed and Shaheen and Gillibrand and Blumenthal and Hirono and Kane and Kagan, Peters and Duckworth and Rosen and Kelly and Slotkin. That's what we're all doing at that moment. Nice memes. Do you want one more meme? How about one more meme? One more. We'll go back to Kristen Gillibrand. She was the most meme-worthy of them all. And we're going to throw a little Zeppelin in there, too. Are you ready? It's a goodie. Crank up the speakers. You don't want to take the immigrant issue was front and center at that moment. If you know, you know. If you know your Zeppelin, you got that joke. Thanks, all you meme creators. I'm sorry we couldn't name all of you, but you were all amazing, and we appreciate you entertaining us and amusing us all day yesterday. Yeah, Hegseth is going to be just fine. We're going to be just fine, starting at noon on Monday, January 20th. All right. Thank you all. That was a fun show. Appreciate you watching, and we'll be back tomorrow. Boy, these hearings continue today, so we'll have plenty to work with tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe and hit alerts, because we might be going live at any given time, too, the way these hearings are going. But first, I got to finish my book. Did I tell you that I have a book coming out? No, I'm kidding. I think I already did enough of that yesterday. Thank you so much, you guys. We appreciate you being a part of our live stream today. Like and subscribe and share our videos if you could. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. My name's Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry.